I'm Tarek Morat. I represent the 5 hotel properties in High Level, the Best Western plus Mirage, the Quality Inn and Suites, the Days Inn, the Econo Inn and Suites, and the Super 8. And we were obviously very actively involved in emergency services during the Chuckegg Creek wildfire.
I'm Jared Snyder, and I'm co-owner of the Tim Hortons here in High Level, Alberta. And we were also asked to stay open during the evacuation. And Tarek and I are going to be talking to you today about what that was like for us with our businesses and with our team members and supplying food for everyone here that was here to work on the fire. At Tim Hortons, we did a lot of breakfast. I think every day we did the breakfast, and sometimes it was 200 to 350 people we'd be making breakfast for. So it was a huge team effort on our part to get that breakfast out to everybody. And I know that Tarek and a bunch of the other restaurants stayed open to do the lunch and dinners.
Yes, I think they did a very good collaboration with the local food and beverage outlets and accommodations to kind of coordinate efforts, because it was really a daunting task for any single one of us. And they really got the community involved in supporting this, and so we had split the responsibilities between breakfast, lunch, and dinners for the emergency services team that were in the area. And I think it worked actually very, very, very well, so that it wasn't too much of a burden on any one of us. Again, we're all dealing with staffing challenges. I think that's where there's a playbook to be written. Monday morning, this all started on a long weekend, so you already had much of your staff maybe not on site. At least that was our case, and the town evacuated everybody. I knew that there was going to be help coming and that they would have to stay somewhere and eat somewhere. So, but again, we didn't really know how this was all going to roll out. There was no playbook for this one. So it was a struggle in the beginning, and over the course of time we were able to get some people back in that. The effort between us all, I think, was really, really well coordinated and well done.
I know that we certainly wouldn't have been able to keep up on our own, and likewise, I mean, everyone really pitched in, and it was a big team effort. And it was a really surreal time to be in High Level and allowed to stay when this all happened. Like Tarek was mentioning with team members, we've got a lot of team members with young family members, things like that. And when we asked people to volunteer to stay back to help with feeding all the fire crews, just about every one of our team members wanted to stay. But Mom and Dad and I made the decision that anyone with young family members needed to evacuate. So we ended up having 6 team members, and Mom and Dad and myself running our operation. And like Tarek said, there's just kind of no real playbook. So I remember the first 5 days, it was just kind of a blur. We're kind of short-staffed. We weren't obviously as busy as we would normally be, but things were a challenge, and it was just a blur, and we kind of just put our heads down and worked hard. And then by day 7, we were all kind of burning out, and it was certainly challenging, super long hours. All of our team members were working 12-hour shifts, and then Mom and Dad and I were 12, 14, 16, 18 hours a day. And it was super challenging, but super fulfilling at the same time, because really felt like we were making a difference.
Yeah, I think for me also that was the best part of it all, is that it brought a whole new level of responsibility and fulfillment to your duties. Whether it's serving coffee at Tim Hortons normally is fine, there's a level of service and gratitude towards that, but when you're doing it for people who are saving your community, accommodating and feeding them, that brings a whole new sense of fulfillment, I guess is the right word, and knowing that these people are here to support and save our community ultimately, and that we could be a part of that was a good feeling. Again, the days were long, many 18-hour days. And like you, I think in the beginning we started with about a dozen staff members who stayed behind, and and I had rallied what I could, and some obviously had to leave, the children and that, as he was saying. Others volunteered to stay. Nobody had to, so it came from them to say, yeah, we'll stick around and help. And we were managing 5 hotels with hundreds of rooms occupied with a dozen people. And over the course of the 2 weeks, I think we ramped up from about a dozen to about a staff of 40, which is still a third of what we typically operate with. So yeah, everybody pitched in, and if there's anybody to thank, like the firefighters are heroes and all that, but there's a lot of support that goes behind this kind of initiative. And again, this is my first experience with something like this. But you don't think of the people that are supporting the people that are here to save, and they're heroes as well. For my staff, and I'll just speak on my behalf, I'm sure he has lots of his own stories, but the housekeepers that were working day and night, the cooks that were working as housekeepers, just everything, the way everybody pulled together, really the staff really came together, and the community as a whole. The people that stayed back behind, like the collaboration was awesome. It was really fulfilling, rewarding. The teamwork was great. It was a great sense of community all around.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's part of what it is to live in the North. I mean, if you're in the city, you've got a lot of resources and things at your fingertips, but up here, we've got to rely on ourselves a lot more, and the whole community really banded together. It was cool for me because part of my job was to go around and refill coffee thermoses at the fire hall and at the town hall. So I really got a chance to see exactly what's going on and kind of behind the lines. And there's just so much more to an operation like battling a wildfire of that size than what you realize. It's not just firefighters and structural firefighters and Alberta wildfire firefighters, but dozer operators, water truck drivers, just the amount of support personnel that it takes to battle a challenge like this is really overwhelming, and I think that the leadership team in charge of the fire, they did an amazing job. A lot of people would say to me, wow, you're like brave and stuff like that or whatever, but I never once felt like what I was doing was brave. I had complete faith that the fire was being managed properly, and if something did happen where we had to evacuate, like the support staff had to evacuate, well then yeah, let's get out of here. But during the whole evacuation, I had complete faith that I was safe and that my team members were safe, and if something changed, that we'd be informed immediately, and that would be that. So
yeah, it's the same thing for us, and what I told our staff and personnel is like, there's people working on the fire, they're going to ensure our safety. The biggest hazard I think was really the smoke. Some days were really thick, so that was difficult to work in. Not to mention working without power for a couple of days. That wasn't easy either. That was in the initial phases. Yeah, altogether it was great collaboration, great experience. Having endured that. And as he mentioned, what goes behind all that is, unless you've seen it from behind, you almost can't imagine what it all takes and all the moving parts and the collaboration and where you get supplies from. And there was a point where we were down to one road in and out. I think at one point where that's actually, if I ever got fearful, was that point where, okay, are we going to be surrounded? But as for the fire, I almost forgot about the fire itself because people were handling the fire. We're taking care of the people that are doing that job, and that was the focus, was just take care of the personnel that's here and do our best to make it very comfortable for them and rest and make sure they're fed well. These guys are fighting fire the next day, so that was the priority. It's just take care of these people.
Yeah, I always said that we had the easiest job during the evacuation, just smile and serve coffee, and it's everyone that was making the decisions that had the real tough jobs. So we definitely appreciate everything that everyone did to help us here with this fire. One quick story I have, I was at the fire hall and I was bringing coffee, and this one gentleman said, "You got any tea there?" And I said, "Oh no, I don't have any tea." And I felt so bad, so I rushed back to Tim's and I got to take 12 of steep tea for him. And then when I went back, they were just starting to have their meeting, so there's like 250 firefighters standing around, and I'm looking for this one guy that needs his tea or whatever, and I found him, and he recognized me. He's like, "What's this guy doing back here?" And I gave him his tea, and he was just so appreciative. And I asked him where he's from, and he said Turner Valley. And I said, "Holy cow, Turner Valley, that's got to be like a 10-hour drive or something from here." And he said, "Well, it's 16 hours in a fire truck."
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was pretty amazing. People were coming from all over to help us, and it was all the help was certainly appreciated. So.
Oh yeah, those that risked their lives to come here and do this for us and help our community, all the thanks to the firefighters, all the logistics team that was behind it, all the people that stayed behind, the way the community gathered. Very appreciative of the whole initiative. It was really, really amazing. And from what I understand, it really set a precedent of how to deal with wildfire. We got a lot of compliments about just the whole collaboration effort with the community, and we have to thank everybody involved. It was outstanding, outstanding. Couldn't be more proud of high level, of the town, of the people, and of course thankful for all the help we received from everybody.
I agree, couldn't have put it better myself.